allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, first I'd like to announce we have a new person, Sherry Six Killer Wing, as she'll be doing the minutes. And Sierra has resigned with the city, and we appreciate all that Sierra has done for us. Now on to approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, all favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? Great. Do we have any consideration of public comments? Nothing?
Nobody signed up.
Okay, nobody submitted. All right. Now on to reports. We have the golf course superintendent report.
Evening, everybody. It's good to see you guys again. I'll go over just a few things here from my submitted report for you guys. Start off with some cultural items. Obviously, fall for us, aerification is probably the most significant thing we do twice a year, spring and fall. This year, we were recommended by Corey Angelo, who does our soil and tissue samples, to do a double verticutting on the greens prior to pulling the core. So we did that this time, excuse me. But we pulled a micro core. We do that this time of year rather than a full-size core because it doesn't really disrupt the playing surface, the putting surface. And of course, a lot of the golf courses along the river are closed, and so all that play's coming up here, and we want to take advantage of that by not punching the greens and messing them up for them. So that really helps out a lot. That's actually comes from one of Mike's kids from back east, who's a superintendent. He sent us a video about it, and I've been using it ever since. So it's a good process. Obviously, we had multiple fungicide applications going through. That really helped us out this year. We didn't lose a lot of turf. Of course, we didn't have really a thunderstorm season either, so there wasn't a lot of humidity to feed that fungus, but I think overall we did really well. The little bit of areas that we did lose, we did some slit seeding with a variety of cool season mixed grass to get those all to grow back in. Multiple applications of fertilizers, most of them aimed obviously at turf roots. We also put some herbicide applications out. We've got as I've mentioned before, a little bit of a weed problem going on the greens. So every single time that I'm fertilizing the greens, I'm also putting herbicide out, trying to keep that under control too. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, Corey was out to do our soil tissue samples. That always just kind of confirms that everything we're doing culturally is working for us down in the root zone and in our water and our soil, and everything came back real positive on that this time. So that was good. A few irrigation highlights. One of the things I've been kind of consistently talking to you guys about is our satellite upgrades, since they're phasing out the old RDR satellites, which controls the sprinklers. We kind of hit another roadblock on that. We had a vendor lined up that could supply those via state contract, so to speak. And right when I went to purchase, their term expired. And so we're going through the renewal process, or they are right now. And so once that's back up, hopefully before spring, because winter is the time to replace these, that, you know, we can get it done. But so we'll have to keep posting you guys on that one. Another big significant change for us in irrigation is we lost our irrigation technician, Jacob Fengmeyer. He'd been with the city for 10 years, 5 years as an irrigator. He did move on to bigger and better things, and so we wish him well. But obviously that's kind of a setback for us. You get consistency, and so we were fortunate enough to be able to promote from within. So Alex Prokop, who was a groundskeeper for us, is now our new irrigation tech. And just to give you an idea, Like I said, I know I submitted a lot of different irrigation highlights on my report, but we put in 135 feet of new 4-inch main line, 2 new mainline isolation valves. We did 15 lateral line repairs, 6 new 2-inch electric valves were all plumbed in, 22 sprinkler heads were replaced and are leveled. And if you ask me, I can't think of a better way to break in a new guy. So he really is doing a great job for us. So he's not Jacob yet, but hopefully one of these days he will be. And then just some general highlights. I want to kind of recognize 2 of my, one of them's an operator, the other one's a chemical applicator. Bailey Lewis and Zach Rockhold were able to help out with junior golf this season. Both of them are decent handicap golfers, and they like to work with the kids, and so that was a big help, I know, to Sam, and so it's nice to be able to lend him some groundskeepers to help out. And then multiple team members were able to help out Yvonne this year for the parade, and that's big, you know, that helps us succeed. So thank you to those guys that volunteered for that. And then a couple of upcoming projects. We're gonna get ready to start renovating bunkers again as it cools off, and our grass is starting to slow down, so excited to get started on those again. Hopefully we can get through the rest of them. And other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
I don't really have any questions, but I'd just like to touch on a couple things. The weeds that Patrick's talking about in the greens are a real challenge. It's southern brass buttons, what it's called, and it's reasonably new. And what it is, it's a plant that was brought over here to be a landscape plant, and it's gotten out of control, and it's really hitting the greens in the southwest. So in our area in the southwest is where it's really been the biggest problem. And it's a real challenging one to get rid of because it overseeds itself vigorously. And so it's a very, very challenging weed to get rid of, but they're doing a really good job with that. Then I also want to touch on the volunteers that help out the parade and how our teams all work together, which is a great thing. But the parade, what else they did this year, which was really cool, we have some people that are retiring. And so they took new employees to the parade where they are going to be working next year, being trained by the people that are doing it this year, which is a really good thing. And that's what really helped us this past year. We had the parade. We weren't going to be responsible for the parade, and then it got put back on us. And we did a really good job because of that kind of stuff where we have really good documentation about running the parade. So hats off to these guys for doing such a great job.
Thank you, Mike.
You guys did a really great job. It was fun. I got to volunteer with you guys, and you guys put on a great parade. So good job.
All right, any other questions?
I just have one quick question. Sorry, I'm a newbie.
It's okay.
I noticed that it said that we still have 0 inmate hours. Is that something that we foresee ever changing, or?
It doesn't look like it's going to change in the foreseeable future. And what happened is Governor Ducey basically took the inmates that were at this prison to utilize them to clear forest fire areas and to rehab forest fire areas. So basically, this prison doesn't have enough inmates that are qualified to go out in the workforce. They do have a crew that we get once in a while where we have a special project to do. Mm-hmm. They'll do it, and we stay in good touch with the warden at the prison, and we're telling them how often we'd love to get that back because it really was a benefit to us having that labor. And I know you really can't count on that as labor, but we got to where we really count on it because we had them for 8 years.
Yeah.
And they worked out really, really well for all the work they did, and it was good for them too. So that's a very good question. Oh, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, moving on. We have the Golf Pro report. Thank you, Patrick.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for
Good evening,
taking
Sam.
your time to hear me out here. If you notice, the majority of my stuff on my agenda here is tournament related. That's because September and October is tournament season in golf. Everyone wants to have their tournaments in September and October. One of my self goals probably is to try to evaluate this and maybe try to persuade some of these tournament directors to move their tournaments to maybe August or July when it's a little bit warmer, and we can fill in the tee sheets with public play anyway. But tournaments are good, especially the new core tournament that was held on Thursday, September something, and had about 123 players. They raised $110,000, and everyone had a good time, so that was good. Booked a tournament on May 4th for the search and rescue team. Both Lee Williams and Kingman High School had their golf season in the fall. The academy has theirs in the spring, so it's about a 2-month process. A little bit different than where I'm from. They have 9-hole matches, and they have a good time. At least the kids aren't out playing video games. That's kind of the way I look at it. KRMC had their tournament. That was a big success, 94 players on September 9th. Los Lagos had a group out here, a smaller tournament, 24 players. Our city league ended on kind of when it got dark. We're going to pick that up and hopefully grow that next spring. We had the commission barbecue, which I think was a big success. I heard a lot of compliments there. I think you did too, Mike. Thursday, September 14th. Let's see, Ty and I met with the Ping rep and did some pre-booking for the next year. We had our fall junior golf, and that went fairly well. Again, thanks to Zach and Bailey from the maintenance team for helping us out. They're pretty good. Mainly Bailey. Zach was busy fixing leaks a lot of the time, I think. But no, they both helped out quite a bit. Moose Lodge had a successful tournament, 19 teams, 76 players. Junior tournament had 31 kids show up. That was good. We had the Cowboy Classic. That's a tournament we have every October in honor of an old cowboy. And you have to wear cowboy boots, blue jeans, and a button-down shirt and a cowboy hat. If you take your hat off while you hit a shot, you can be assessed a 2-stroke penalty. So it does pretty good and boosts our food and beverage sales. And our last tournament, it was a swine tournament. That's just a bunch of local guys. Had 52 players. It'll probably grow to 100 by next year. And finally, Operation Christmas Child. It's just a fundraiser to give Christmas presents to needy kids. So that's about it. Any questions I can answer?
Anybody?
I would like to touch on one thing that Sam talked about. Basically, what's important about these tournaments that are fundraisers, that doesn't go toward the money that our golf course generates, but it generates between $200,000 and $300,000 for the nonprofits in our area. So, and that's very important for our community too. That sometimes gets overlooked. And it's very important, like I said, to those organizations. So, and Nucor's done a great job with those, with their tournaments for sure. So. And hats off to the job Sam's done working with these tournaments. So,
Sam, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
The venue that your staff made where you can have weddings and things like that, did they book that through you?
Yes.
And is there a fee
Yes.
for that?
Yeah, $500 for the use of the wedding pad. I call it the hitching post. The thing outside there by the pond, $300 for the patio rental.
Okay, because I was just, looking at your monthly activity, and if that could get put on there, it could show people how many events or things that
Sure.
could be put on. Also, I had an idea. This has to do with Mardi Gras. I don't know how popular it might be here, but let's see. Next year, Fat Tuesday is on February 13th.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know how excited people might be. Golf carts, if they dressed up their golf carts, I don't know if you wanted a little parade or whatever. I don't know, maybe it's something to think about.
Yeah, something, you talking about city-owned or private carts?
On Surbat, on the course of the city.
Okay.
People could come and watch their little parade or have the
Right.
locals with their carts decorated.
It's definitely something we can look at. We're always open to suggestions and see how Fat Tuesday golf parade or something.
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing I forgot to mention, I think it's the 24th, Black Friday. We're having a light up Black Friday. Going to be 4 or 5 food trucks, an ice rink, a snow machine. They're going to light up the tree on Radar Hill. Is that it? From 4 to 6:30, so it should be a good time. Like to see y'all out there.
That's because they raised money to get some new lights on that tree, so I guess it's going to be a lot different and maybe a little more spectacular. So they're kind of having a
Good.
first time for that, and I think it's kind of exciting. And there again, it's a good use of our golf facility. It's going to be and we have some other events too there like that, like you said, Karen. I think that's important that we do maybe point those out because this is another good one. So I always like to see those other uses at the golf course. So.
Okay, any other
else?
questions,
Yeah.
Jordan?
It's on the activity report, I just don't know if this is in dollars or if it's in, but looking at the daily green fees, in September it showed 43,075, and it drops to like 1,769. I don't know if that's, what happened?
Yeah, what happened there, that was a typo. It should have been 31,261. So sorry about that. We can get that sent out.
It's like the same thing,
To daily green fees.
green fees and then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get that fixed and forward it to Mike
And we can send you an updated one. That's what we'll
Yeah.
do. I'll email you guys out an updated one, just so you have the
yeah,
updated one.
sorry about that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you, Sam.
Okay, thank you.
And now we have the park superintendent report. Oh.
All right. All right. I'm Jerry Seib, your park superintendent. So I'll start off with the White Cliffs Trail System update. On our style trailhead, we got a water meter installed, and we got a new drinking fountain also put in place up there. On the north trailhead, we got trailhead toppers, including trail system name, trailhead name, address, and when installed. Go on to safety training. We had 6 crew members participated in the Arizona 811 training, which is the call before you dig. The Department of Agriculture was on site and did an inspection of our chemical application, storage, and record keeping, and we were deemed compliant. We coordinated with Kingman Fire Department to show them routes for emergency responses to Campio Loops. We brought out one of our new park UTVs along with the Kingman Fire UTV. We showed them kind of the back ways and how to get in places for if hikers get stranded or dehydrated along that. We participated in ADOS pre-inspection. And Parks completed our second attempt on a task hazard analysis meeting. Risk management was invited and participated in the hazard analysis associated with the lighting at Locomotive Park. So there's a new thing in safety where we kind of go everything that's going on, and then risk management was there with us, with the getting up in the lifts and everything else and decorating the park. So with the Kingman Route 66 Fest, we had played a huge role in that. We set it up, helped run it, and then tear down the event. And then we also took on the task of making a new feature made for the 66 Fest, adding our take on the Cadillac Ranch. So we actually had those Cadillacs cut out at Free Day Metal, and then we welded them in-house and then set anchors in the park to where it looks like the Cadillac Ranch thing that they have. And then our Adopt a Park, we still have the same main companies or organizations that we've had in place, which is the Kingman 66 Rotary Club, Kingman Young Marines, and the Marine Corps League 887, Kingman Main Street, and the Kingman Rotary Club. We have had some interest from a group from Unisource that are heavily involved with the Turquoise Kings and Queens. We're trying to talk to them about possibly doing Southside Park. All right, so miscellaneous repairs and improvements. Parks received, we finally got 2 new trucks for our rovers. Our rover trucks actually go out 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because they're also used on the weekends. So we got 2 brand new ones of those. Assistant Superintendent Matt Golder presented park grant projects to Arizona State Parks and Trail Board on Thursday, August 18th. I believe that was in Lake Havasu. Myself, Matthew Golder, and our chemical applicator Melvin Mendoza went to Phoenix, and we expanded our categories on our spray licenses to now we can do for pesticides and stuff inside building instead of having a pest control company do it for us. So we already had chemical license, so we just expanded it to eliminate an extra fee that the city had to pay. The Lewis Kingman Park was chip and crack sealed. That was a huge help with the streets department. They came and did that before 66 Fest. Our soccer fields were seeded and aerated, and we continue to do that. And we have another second Bobcat UTV that we're actually setting up for chemical application. So we have one that's for doing trail work, and then we have one that'll be going around town replacing our golf cart that we use for doing like weed abatement and stuff like that. We set up and tore down the following events this quarter: the Annie Divine Day Parade, Walkway from Drugs, the 66 Fest, Employee Appreciation Lunch, and 3 drive-in movies. We also took out our splash pad for the season and winterized it. We had 85 irrigation issues fixed this quarter, and the majority of the issues dealt with sprinklers, valves, or line breaks. We had a few issues with plumbing and drinking fountains. Lewis Kingman update, we had to make an adjustment for the project due to installation fees. So what we did, we just got with the company, we were having a different installer, and that drove the price back down. We had 265 completed MROs, and so far in vandalism, we have 14,250 estimated damage in dollars. And then on the vandalism, we've had multiple instances of graffiti. We had turf damage caused by vehicles at multiple locations. The new bench that we made at Centennial, that was a repurposed sign, Centennial, Veterans Centennial Park, it's been vandalized multiple times. Multiple light fixtures and bulbs broken in restrooms. Our Centennial pool door looked like it appeared to be shot out by a BB gun, so we'd have that replaced. The chain link fence over by the I-40 continues to get cut, going into the drainage area right there next to the highway. We're constantly repairing that. Multiple soap dispensers, which is an almost ongoing everyday thing. We had another broken light bollard, and we had a vehicle drive through a chain link fence and hit the backflow at Wallach Ranch Park. It actually went through the chain, took out our big 4-inch backflow, causing tens of thousands of gallons of water. It actually washed out our safety service out of the playground, but it was a massive flood. But somebody came through there, and it looked like it was intentional, and just took it out. And then that's pretty much all I got. If anybody has any questions.
I have 3 items.
Okay.
First, I walked the I-40 walkway this past weekend,
Uh-huh.
and it was the best I've seen it.
Well, thank you.
Trees and bushes were trimmed, there wasn't much trash, and the gravel was raked. It was very neat. So, other than the areas outside of it, it was really nice. On the park vandalism chart, very last item is the Route 66 walk path. Where is that?
Route 66 walk path is like right in front of Lewis Kingman Park. It's mainly our Route 66 path there. And there's a sidewalk across the street there.
Okay. And regarding the dead trees, I think you moved dead trees. What is the schedule for replacing them?
Right now, as we've been replacing trees, we try to remember where we take them out, and then when people want to adopt trees for the park and donate them, we try to go in the order of when they come out. And speaking of trees, the Parks Department just received our new skid steer loader, which has a stump grinder on it, so you'll be seeing that out, actually getting rid of the old stumps. It actually works very fast. Any other questions?
Any other?
I noticed with the vandalism that a lot of it was the soap dispensers. And I wondered if I'm sure this is something you guys have looked into, and maybe it's a budget thing, but they have these, like the anti-vandalism soap dispensers.
Mind if I take that?
Yeah, I was wondering if it would be worth it, if this is like an ongoing thing, if maybe replacing new, I know it may be more of a cost to replace all of them, but.
Okay, yeah, so we actually have looked into vandalism resistant soap dispensers and did buy them.
Yeah.
And much like these ones here, is they did not last up.
So they still pull them off?
Yes. Well, it's not that they pull them off, they actually would dent these into where the handles would get stuck where they didn't work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I also, like, just in my limited, I mean, I'm completely
Yeah.
ignorant about this, so please forgive me. I wondered if there could be some kind of a box welded over it.
So what we've actually kind of done, because we've tried multiple avenues, what our current thing that we've kind of got to work is making a metal encasing and putting a battery-operated soap dispenser in there that's with a sensor.
Oh,
And then we
yeah.
still ran into some issues though with the stainless steel that would sometimes reflect it and it would drain itself out.
Yeah.
Or the stuff coming in and we'd come in with big soap puddles everywhere. But that's so far the ones that have held up.
Yeah.
We got them kind of in some places, we're still playing with them, but they still, it seems like it becomes more of a challenge for everybody to see.
Yeah.
The stronger one we put in, it's just a better challenge for them to do it. A lot of places and other places we've looked in other towns, they've actually removed their soap dispensers. We're trying not to go that route, you know, especially with all the stuff that have happened with COVID and everything else, but we have tried these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, like I said, they actually, the first time we put them in, the very next day they were broke. Like one of them, they smashed it into where the handle just wouldn't work.
Yeah, oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I wondered, is there any updates on possibly doing security cameras?
No, as of like, I believe we said last time, IT slowly trying to work with, like, each department to get on one actual networked system. But I haven't heard any more on that, and I know, I'm not sure which department was going through first, but I know that's some kind of an IT thing he's looking at.
Yeah, okay. And then if anyone in the community comes to us and mentions that there's something broken or vandalized, how should I direct them?
So if it's during business hours, you can call our park, the recreation office, and we have an MRO system, they'll automatically input it, and then from there, I'll assign it the next day through our spreadsheet. But
Okay.
also too, you're welcome to, if it's like, you know, you guys are welcome to email me, but mainly it's that front office that takes calls, that they're longer.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anyone else? Mike, you got something?
I could touch on a couple things too. And our MRO system works really good, what Jerry's talking about. So you call the office and they put it on a spreadsheet that he works off of and copy and paste it onto the daily worksheet for the employees. So it's a really good system and it works really well. So we appreciate getting that information if you see stuff.
And one more thing too, to add on to that, one thing when I took over, we figured out, is you can actually text message an email. So what our crew does and how it's really efficient, and it's really easy for them to do, is when our guys see something in the park and it's not something they can fix right away, or even if they are gonna fix, I still wanna know about it so I can document it. But I just tell them, send a text to it, and then it goes to email, and then from there, the front office puts it on the spreadsheet, and I do it from there. So that's how I keep track of so many MROs,
Nice.
so.
And then I wanted to touch on another thing. Our parks guys are working right now with the Public Works Department on weed cleanup. So we're getting a lot of the roadsides and helping them with that. So it's something that it's council members have gotten a lot of complaints about weeds.
Yeah.
And so we're really trying to go after them really good and get the city cleaned up. And I think I'm really proud of the job that our guys are doing with that too. So.
Yeah, so far, we're working with Kingman Airport and the Streets Department and then the Parks Department. We meet every Friday, and we go over who's gonna be going where, so we don't keep each other's toes. But all three departments are actually out spraying, and all three departments are out clearing,
Wow.
so. All right, well, thank you guys.
Anyone?
Oh.
Come back. Actually, that was one of the things I was going to touch on, because you had put in there about the weeds on Harrison by that RV park. And I was thinking, boy, I thought that was always Public Works. So you guys, that answered my question, that you're helping
Yeah, all
out.
three departments I work on have really stepped up. We've got a whole crew since mowing's died down. I put my whole mowing crew on that. And then with even Assistant Superintendent Matthew Golder, he's been out spraying, and then same with our other chemical applicator. And the Streets Department's been working with us on sharing chemicals and the budget for that too, so.
Okay, I'm going to touch on something that some years ago, this idea of over at Lewis Kingman Park, since you have the big dirt lot next to it, building some kind of bridge, so, because you have a lot of people parking in there for that event. If there was a bridge across, I know it's a wash, just some kind of walking bridge to Lewis Kingman's, because right now they have to go up to
Yeah.
the street and.
I know it was discussed, I know in the past there was some mention of possibly using a train car that some other city had, but as of right now, I know we haven't gone any further with that. And that's something that just brought up when we started doing the 66 Fest up at Lewis Kingman, which I believe this is the third year of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can touch on that too. Yeah, we have it in some of the plans, and people may have even seen them, for the Lewis Kingman Park project that we're doing right now with the grant. I had submitted it that way originally, that we were going to take a train car like they have in Williams, and we already have a train car down at Southside Park. So we were going to take that box car and make that into a bridge across there. And we'd really like to do that sometime, but it is pretty expensive to do. And we couldn't do it as part of the grant. They wouldn't allow us to do that because that property that you're talking about, the parking area, isn't designated as a recreation area. So you can only do a grant for when it's designated as a recreation area, because that property could be sold off someday for something else. Or, I mean, they even talked about putting a fire department there at some point. They talked about that before. So that's why we weren't able to do that at this time. But I think it'd be great too. And I think a box car, I've even got pictures of it that I think would be really cool for that area. So hopefully we'll get it done someday. And you know, there may be people that want to donate and stuff like that, but it's upwards of $100,000, maybe $150,000 to do it. So it is a big project. So, but it would be really cool, I think. So hopefully we'll get it done. Thank you for that, though. I think it's a good observation.
I just want to say thank you for your staff, and the signage on these trailheads is just magnificent. They did a great job.
Thank you, I'll pass that on to them.
Your whole staff is doing a great job, Jerry.
I got a
Thank
very
you.
good team,
Yes.
very good team.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Next up, she should have been before Jerry, but Yvonne with the Recreation Superintendent report.
I'll tell you why she is late, because our finance department is down kind of monitoring how we handle our cash and everything there. So Yvonne had to be there to help make sure that was there. So that's why she's.
Okay, good evening, everyone. If you all read the report, most of what I'm going to cover was in the report you would have previously submitted. So just to let you know that we are finishing up our fall programs right now. As we move into December, we'll be hitting some of our holiday programs, like our Santa's Callings, Letters to Santa, Breakfast with Santa, Mrs. Claus's Cookies and Crafts Workshop, AKA Mrs. Claus Karen Fogg. So Karen volunteers to do that program for us, so we appreciate her for that. And then, of course, as Jerry mentioned earlier, we're going to also be participating with the holiday light display downtown in December. Also in December, we start putting together all of our next season brochure information. As far as programs go, our quality of life leisure programs basically conclude this month for our regular set classes, like our tennis, quilting, dance, all of those programs will conclude this month. And then besides the ones that we have going on in December. Our new dance class that we added, the Western Two-Step, an adult class, everybody's been participating and they're all excited about it. So it's good. So I think we'll continue that for the next season. And speaking of dance, we have our dance recital this Saturday at 2 p.m. at Kingman High School. We did reach one of our higher numbers than we had since COVID, I would say. We had 135 students enrolled this season, and our recital will consist of 25 performances. And our department began ticket sales for that recital on November 3rd, and we sold out in one day. So, yep. Bobbing for Pumpkins was one of our newly added programs that we did in October, and everybody's kind of worried about what the weather was going to be like. Fortunately, that day turned out, I think we had 90-plus degree weather. It was held in the downtown pool. We did have the heaters on. It was not a huge turnout, but I think it was big enough for what we wanted for the first time. And considering the amount of the participants that were there and the families that showed up, everybody just gave us a lot of praise and said, "This is so new. Thank you for offering." So we got a lot of positive feedback from it. So we're hoping with that positive feedback, and we ask people, share it on Facebook, share your experience, so that way if other people see it, they'll be more prone to come out next year. Let's see. Sports and fitness. Our adult volleyball will end. It started in September and will end the second week of December. Youth volleyball will end the first week of December. We currently have 148 players enrolled in our 18 teams of adult volleyball. Youth volleyball had 67 enrolled between two divisions. We added an older division last year, and this is our second year of doing up to like ninth grade in high school. So we added like a seventh, eighth, and ninth grade division. And let's see, we moved into also youth basketball will begin in January, but we've been taking registrations for youth basketball all season long. We started actually immediately after the season ended in March and gave like, okay, if you register now, you'll get this year's rates. At this point in time, it's going to go up $5, and at this point in time, it went up another $5. So we will end registrations on December 15th. And we're also currently seeking volunteer coaches for that. So if you know anybody who wants to volunteer coach, have them contact our department, and we could go from there with them. We also kicked off this last fall with tennis and pickleball lessons, and we did kind of like what they call a spec tennis. So the tennis lessons were held on the pickleball courts on a different size court. It gave the younger kids a better perspective in how to, in relation to a court, so they're not intimidated by the large court size, and it turned out we had a lot of positive feedback by that as well. And our winter sports, as I mentioned, coming up in January. In February, we'll also have adult volleyball, and men's basketball will start at the, I believe, at the end of January. Those registrations will continue on through the beginning, and December 4th would be, I have a feeling they're going to start December 4th for men's basketball, and it's probably going to sell out really quick because we've been getting a lot of phone calls on it. Besides our own sports that we do, I don't know how many of you are familiar, but we facilitate a lot of sports that are not ran by our department. For example, there is youth football, youth soccer, Little League, girls softball, adult softball, all football, youth football, adult soccer, all of those programs utilize, not to mention all the travel baseball and softball teams that are out there. So our fields at Centennial and both South and Southside Park have been highly utilized. Jerry and his crew do a good job at trying to maintain all those fields, not to mention the Kingman Academy schools and the other Lee Williams High School uses our facilities. So we have to facilitate a lot of outside organizations besides ourselves. Special events, Jerry mentioned earlier, drive-in movies. We had one of our second highest drive-in movie nights on August 25th. And we had about 126 families. We had 106 vehicles. I think our largest one we had was 135 vehicles, and that was when we very first started doing them. So we were kind of proud with those numbers that we had. We did hold a second one, got delayed or wind blown out, we call it, because we couldn't put up the screen. So then we had to postpone it for another one. And we had at that one was in September, and then we had 58 families participate in that one. Andy Divine Days Parade that took place on September 23rd. Robert DeVries was our Grand Marshal. We had 85 entries in the parade, which we were satisfied with that number. My goal was 80, so I'm glad we exceeded that number. And many thanks goes out again to our own team members. They did a great job. Our department, Jerry's crew, Kingman Police Department, Kingman Fire Department for their supports with operations. All the volunteers that we had, our judges. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah came through and recruited a lot of volunteer judges for us, so kudos to you as well. And then Route 66 Festival, as Jerry mentioned also, our department was highly involved with that. Sandy, one of our recreation coordinators, along with a lot of our part-time staff, ran the games and activities. They sold the wristbands. They did the ID checks for beer sales. They did all the money intakes. So everybody was stationed in different areas and worked well with the Powerhouse to organize that event. Our fall coloring contest, we had almost 1,150 coloring sheets come in. That's a lot of coloring sheets to judge when you have to narrow it down to 18 winners. So we did post our winners on Facebook and up in our school, up in our windows. We put the coloring sheets up there and delivered the winning sheets and the prizes to all the kids at their local schools. So hopefully the teachers would have awarded them in front of their fellow students. This month, as I mentioned earlier, one of our special events is considered our dance recital. We are doing a really good job as far as trying to facilitate that. We have a lot of people wanting more tickets. I just don't have another way to fit them. So coming up next season or the following recital, we may look at possibly having to hold 2 different recitals because our program is growing that we outgrew either of the 2 high schools. And we don't have our own facility, which someday hopefully we will. But the fact that our programs are growing and we don't have buildings in the city to facilitate one event. Oh, one other thing I was going to ask. As I mentioned, we do our letters to Santa or Santa's calling. We always look for volunteers. So if any of you are willing to be a Mrs. Claus on the telephone, an elf, or a Santa, we do ask for volunteers from our department or from our commissions to make those phone calls from home. It'd basically be on your own time between a certain hour. I think we do between 5 and 8 p.m. And you are willing, if you're willing to do it, I can give you a specific age group. I can give you a specific amount of numbers. I don't want more than 10. Oh, give me 50, give me whatever. So we do work well if you guys are interested in doing that and taking part in helping us make those phone calls. Because we usually get anywhere between, it depends on the year. One year we only had 100 phone calls to make, and another year we had 700 phone calls to make. So it makes it really hard because I do have to depend on volunteers for that program. So if you know of anybody who would be a great sound on the phone, or a great Mrs. Claus, or even an elf, have them call me, because I would be looking for volunteers. In the aquatics, I think I mentioned in the last one that our pools were going to shut down. Our pools closed in August, but we still stay open for the school's swim teams. School swim teams have now concluded. And then we also had the bobbing for pumpkins at the Grandview pool. And so now pretty much our pools are definitely closed. There's nobody else using them. The schools are done until the polar dip. We have our polar dip in January. Sets off at noon on New Year's Day. There's a lot of brave swimmers that decide to jump into that Centennial swimming pool unheated. And the average temperature has varied between 42 and 46 degrees. So anywhere between that, if they're willing to dive in for prizes, more power to them. Other than that, last thing I had was under a miscellaneous spotlight. Sandy, along with myself and Mike, we went to the APRA conference. It's one of our annual conferences. Gives us the opportunity to partake in educational sessions, network, learn new ideas, learn what other cities are doing compared to what we're doing. So for Sandy, it was the first time she'd ever gone to one of those. So I think her poor brain was like, oh my God, I got so much information. But she was so excited about being able to go to her first conference. And she came back with a lot of ideas and stuff that she wants to implement in our city and our department. So hopefully with that knowledge now, we'll be able to advance. We're already looking at some new programs and stuff going forward. Other than that, is there any questions?
Yeah.
I can just touch on something. I really appreciate the job that our recreation department does, and what Yvonne was saying about how everybody works together. All these departments all work together to make these events go, and it's really refreshing to see that. And even what she said, it's not just our department, it's all the other city departments, and they all work together so well. It's really, I think the people in Kingman are very fortunate to have so many departments all work together so good. So I would thank them all for that.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, the Andy Divine Days, if it wasn't for staff from between the golf course and the parks to help facilitate what we had, it would be hard. It would be hard to control all the streets and all the stations and everything. And I know like specifically with the golf course, we have one of our key members who has helped in a certain area is going to be retiring. And we don't know if he's retiring this coming year, may not be, but he goes, I'm not going to be here next year, so I'm training so-and-so. So we have good key people that are able to train people for next year.
We talked about that when you weren't here.
Oh, sorry.
We did. I was praising that.
Okay.
I was praising that whole thing earlier. So it's great,
So,
though. It
yeah.
really is.
I just have one comment on the parade. Somebody had said something to me about they were farther along the parade route, and their questions were, well, what group is this? What is this? What is this? Had you ever thought about doing just a half-sheet pamphlet that you might have a few volunteers go and give them, and if they would like it, and it has all the entries in the parade, so you kind of know, because you can see the number, but you don't know what the entry is.
I think it would be a possibility. One of the things, I think it would be a lot of paper, because I don't know, from my understanding, there's a lot of spectators at the Andy Divine Days Parade. All I get to see is the area that's at the start. But I did take a route real quick, Mike and I had driven around real quick, and there was quite a few. I would probably have to run close to like 1,000, maybe 2,000 copies.
Someplace where you post it, people,
Yeah.
most people have cell phones and just.
We did have, and that was I don't know, and again, it's going to depend on where the staging is, but as they cross, we did have speakers set up throughout the parade route, which they should have been able to hear what was coming. But again, when it crosses here and they reach over here, what they're announcing here isn't what's over here. So, but it could be a possibility or something to think about.
Yeah, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
When are we going to get one of those T-shirts?
These ones actually, my recreation coordinator bought these for me, so I got this one and he had it made, but, yeah.
When I was on the Clean City Commission, we had shirts, and it was really nice when you volunteer to wear like a parks shirt and show.
Come on,
you
Mike,
know,
get the
you're
commission some
volunteering
shirts.
and promoting the
I can answer
department.
that. They have a big budget over there. Our budget isn't quite, no.
Oh,
we will
I
get
don't
some
even
shirts
have
for
a
our
uniform
park-
budget.
we will
That's
get
the
some-
worst part
we will
about it.
get some
Recreation
shirts for
has
our
no
park
uniform
commission
budget.
members.
So,
Yeah. Thank you. so
but
much.
might be something we can talk about and look into.
Ooh, I love that. Or we could, maybe if there was a look, have our own shirts.
And by the way, did you get my message about your plaques?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, I was gonna bring those and I walked out too early. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
so much.
Yvonne. Director's report.
Okay, let's see if I
Mr.
can figure
Mike.
this out. Where is it at here? I'm not sure. I guess I'll do this one first. I don't think it really. Okay. From the beginning, did I hit share screen? Is it up there? Yeah, I guess I did, didn't I? Any rate, this is, I'm going to do this one first. It's the Omaha Drive Shared Use Path is something that we've been working on for a long time. And it's part of a concept, basically, of Kingman Crossing Regional Trail, which, like I say, is a concept. And this fits into the utility easement trails that I've talked about, and I think we'll do more and more of this, hopefully. But it's real challenging. This will link areas of our city together from the utility easement trails will go from over near the new hospital all the way to Wallapai Mountain Road, and this will go up into the foothills. And so it's this section that we're talking about is a 1 mile section, and it's going to be in-kind donation by Angle Homes. And so it's exciting. We got approval from council to move forward with continuing to work on it. So we're going to get the design done and see what we can do, because there's going to be other funding that we're going to need to do some of it. I think it's not going to be all in. They're going to cover the Angle Homes in-kind donation would cover the asphalt and the grading. So. But there would be some other safety things along the streets and things like that that might be above and beyond. We'll find that out from the design that we get. So, and trails are important. They add value to any trails or paths that we put in, add value to every single property in Kingman. So trails and paths are very important. And this parcel that we're talking about here is on a drainage easement that belongs to the city. You can see it there, and that's where the trail would be. And there's a path that goes along there now that's a utility path, but we envision more of a asphalt path that scooters and bicycles and wheelchairs would be able, we would like to see this be ADA accessible, so that can all be used there. And that's the design we're looking to get built. So, and like I said, it's just a smidge over 1 mile. So, and J2 Engineering is going to do the design work, and they're the ones who we've been working with on Sunbelt Park. And they do a lot of these projects in the valley, and they're very good to work with, and we're really looking forward to getting this and see where it goes. I mean, I think it's a great thing, I really do. And this is just one section of this overall trail that we're talking about that would go from the new hospital over by Sunbelt Park and all the way over to Wallapai Mountain Road. And eventually, a trail would even go from the county park, in the Wallapai Mountains, and come all the way downtown, the utility easements. That's what we envision, and even go from White Cliffs Wagon Wheels, say, to Beale Loop. If we can get all those, eventually get our whole city tied together. Scottsdale has a lot of these on utility easements that are really, they're one of the better cities that have done this. But there's really a lot that goes into it, so it's really pretty challenging. And this would be a 9-foot wide path with 2 inches of asphalt. Like I said, it would go from Southern Avenue to Cheyenne. And it would cross one street, which is a bit of a challenge. Again, we have to have safety signs and all that good stuff. So there's going to be some other additional funding that we end up needing. And we don't know that number until we get the design done, basically. So, like I said, we're anxious to get that done. there's a high point near where the road crossing that would be better for visibility. Like I said, there's one road crossing at Dakota, and there's 3 really, really challenging drainage areas that go through there, which is the real challenge to put asphalt there. And what we envisioned early on was to try to have the asphalt path go over by the street where people could walk on right there, and so you're only dealing with the really bad wash on one side, on the downward side of the asphalt. So we'll see what they come up with on this. Like I said, J2 Engineering does these all the time, and and like I've said before, I don't think a path should be designed by a director of Parks and Recreation or anybody else. I think we need to go to the people that are experts at it, because it's so important. But if we could get this whole trail system done, I think it's going to be super exciting, really. Like I said, to be able to get all from one area of town to the other, I think it's a huge project. It's going to be, in the end, be really, really good. So, and I've had American Conservation come out. The people that did all of our trails came out and walked this site with me. The people from J2 Engineering have come out and walked the site with me. So like I said, it's really a really good project. And this just shows where the drainage channels are and the size of the drainage channels. Whoops. And we end up getting council direction, I guess. And what else we did, just so you know, to get citizen input, we've done a couple different things. On May 18th, we had a on-site visit where people would come out and talk, and there was about 20 people that showed up, and majority of them were in favor of it, but there are obviously some that aren't in favor of it. And so we answered that. And matter of fact, the only home that is in this parcel itself was kind of opposed to it in the beginning, and then after the meeting, I went and got together with them at their house and kind of like explained it a little more to them, and then they became in favor of it. So, and then July 9th, we sent a letter out explaining it basically, and with an envelope for them to return it, so they could signed envelope so they could return it to us. And we got 13 back, and we sent out 50 to all the property owners around the property. Every property that touched that property, that's who we sent the letters out to. And we got 13 back in favor of the project and 8 back that were opposed to it. And really the majority, I think, that were opposed to it. And I shared all that information with council when all the information that was sent back. And basically the majority of it, I think, was the city shouldn't spend money on this when their streets are bad and that kind of stuff, which, you know, and this is going to be a huge donation by Angle Homes. I mean, to get people in our community to do this stuff, I think it's money well spent if we spend a little more to get it done. So, like I said, I think it's a great project and really looking forward to moving forward with it. And I think we had quite a bit of support by council, it felt like. And any rate, like I said here, we looked for council direction and we end up getting it. So that was exciting. And that's about all I have on this project. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And
I had a couple of questions. Is there a difference between a path and a trail?
sure, there is. This is a shared use path, which is asphalt for one thing. It's ADA accessible, that's what else it would be. And a path, like our trails are like 3 feet wide. This is 9 feet wide. So that's a difference. And that's a good question, really, because shared use path is what they call this type of path. And it's important, I think, that it's identified that way. As a matter of fact, I mentioned that to our clerk's office because they had it in there a different way, a shared use trail, they called it. And it's identified by shared use path in like state parks when they're looking at the different trails or paths. So I think it's important that we do call them the right thing. So that's a good question.
Okay, is the $33,000 in the parks budget?
Yes, it's already, we already had the PO approved for that. So,
And then you're talking about another possible $100,000. What all would be?
well, that's, I said, we don't know, we say a possible, we don't really know that until J2 designs it and see where the trail goes, and is there safety barriers we need? Do we need to put cutoff walls along the path? Like cutoff walls are, they go down 3 feet on the downward side of the flow so it doesn't wash out the path, that type of stuff. It depends on what all they come up with along that. So that 100,000 is just we don't know if it's going to be another 20,000 or 50,000 or 100,000. We won't really know until they get their design done. Then they'll have that included in their proposal.
The Angle Homes donation, does that apply to the ADA or non-ADA?
Well, they're willing to do it either way, but we would like to see it be ADA. We just feel like it's a much more valuable asset to our community if it can be used. If people can't go out in a wheelchair and go on it, or comfortably ride a bike, or, we just feel like it'd be a lot better to be ADA, like Mojave Wash Path is ADA accessible. Those are very, very valuable as to if it's not, so that's what we're shooting for, and we'll see what the cost is, and then our council will obviously make a decision whether the cost is worth what it's going to be to do it. So that's kind of where we're at with it, I think. Well, I don't have the mileage of them, but obviously Mojave Wash Path is, the one you talk about on I-40 is, and the path that Jerry's talking about too, like, basically some of these are more like sidewalks that go from along to Public Works on Route 66. But our department is responsible for maintaining all the landscaping along those areas. So those are some of the areas that are ADA accessible paths. Eastern, or on the Lung Railroad is another one. That path is ADA accessible, so. And that's what I envision this path kind of looking like I envision bollards along the way where the street can, where the water can wash across, and just for short sections where people can then get on that path. And so we'll see what J2 Engineering comes up with, so.
And you said the concerns of the property owners related to money and not.
I think the majority of them were that. Some of them were worried about bringing more people out there not from their neighborhood. And then I really don't think it's going to be people aren't going to, some will, hopefully, but I think it's going to be more for the people in that neighborhood. I really do. And a lot of people aren't going to go from the other side of town to drive out there to walk a mile and back, I don't think. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope people use it a lot. And we'll have a small parking area that they can park their car and do that. So I think that's the kind of stuff people are concerned about, that we're going to be bringing more people into their neighborhood. But I don't see it being as much as it is for the community, the people that live in that community, so. What's that? Okay, let me see here, 1 second here. I don't know why this is fighting me, this mouse is. Guess I'll go to we need a mouse pad on here. What is this one?
That's our poster one.
Oh, it's the wrong one. I don't know why I got that one in there. Let me see here. 1 second here. It was online?
It was on mine.
Oh, it was on yours? Oh. I guess. Get out of there. Escape that. So I need to go down, X that one. Jerry's got every PowerPoint we ever had on that one. Well, it's,
You had some already open down there.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. The one I got open is what I'm looking for. This one here, direct report. This is what I'm looking for. Let's see here from the beginning. Okay, so basically, this is my other update, which has several different things on it that I wanted to update you all on, basically. The trail system, which Jerry talked about a lot, the White Cliffs Trail System, we're calling this, because it's not just White Cliffs wagon wheels anymore. It goes from it links our uptown to our downtown, which is really awesome. And then this is the different trail heads that we have. Something else we haven't put in for them yet, but I want to put in for a grant to get shade structures at our trailheads. I think it'd be really nice to have shade structures with a picnic table in them, which we have picnic tables at, a couple of them, and benches. We have memorial benches, which are really awesome. But I would like to get a shade structure by the trailheads where we can, when somebody gets done riding a bike, they can sit in the shade and enjoy the area, basically. And the other thing we'd like to do is update some of the trails at Beal Loop. And we've talked with, this is a shared managed area with BLM. And it was built originally by City of Kingman employees, basically back in the day years ago. And Rob Owen, the Public Works Director, was instrumental in a lot of this. And there's a lot of really good stuff there, but there's also some areas that are very challenging that they could be made and much easier to maintain and things like that if we can get a grant to do this. And what's so helpful is working with BLM, they'll be able to do the cultural study for us, which is a very important thing that there hasn't been one done there. So it's important, you have to have that to be able to get the grant. So we're meeting with BLM and talking to them about this, and it's something that we'd like to really see get done. And what else on that one? I think shade structures I mentioned, that's where we'd like to get some future grants. And like I said, this trail system is really awesome. It's linking our downtown to our uptown, some beautiful areas. And if you haven't been out there, you go out there and there's some areas that you can't even imagine were there. I mean, beautiful canyons and things that it's amazing what they've come up with out there. And we're getting a lot of really, really good positive comments about it. And the trailheads basically, the White Cliffs Trailhead is the one everybody knows about back where that's been forever. We have a downtown trailhead that we're working on, and that's going to be, the path to that is going to be paved in the near future. We've got the PO approved for it already. Desert Construction is going to be doing the work on that, which should be, like I said, within this month or early next month, that project should be finished, and like Jerry mentioned, our employees put a drinking fountain up there already. That was part of the grant, the drinking fountain was. And we're just really, really excited about it. There's beautiful views of our downtown from up there. And we would like to then get some signs basically that with pictures on them where this is where you're looking at our city and this is where the county building is and the courthouse and Hub's house and all the different cool things that we have in our downtown, and maybe even have one with all the businesses that we have, some of the business, we have signs where the businesses are in our downtown. We could even put that kind of stuff up there because it's just going to be a beautiful view from up there. And then the North Trailhead is near the golf course by the Elks Lodge. It comes out next to the driving range. And here's a picture of where the South Trailhead is going to be. This shows obviously the Wagon Wheels Trail and the downtown trail. And this is at the top of 4th Street, kind of by Palo Christi School. It's the old water, there used to be a water tank there years ago. And then the other is, these are finished and this one's in the works and it's not far off. So we're really excited about that to get that done. So there's just some more pictures of the North Trailhead. Like I said, pretty excited about that. And this is the view from the downtown trail. And this is where the property is. It shows where the property is. That's owned by the city. And there's also street easements that we can use for this too. So like I said, it's just really, really exciting, and it's going to be a really, really awesome project when it's finished. So, and it's not far off, so I'm excited about that. And obviously phase 2 is finished now, which we finished all those trail constructions last winter, and we still have a little more work. ACE is going to come back out and evaluate how the trails are holding up and give us some idea if there's any major work that we need to do, which it doesn't look to us like it is. That everything is held up really, really well. And somebody mentioned about the signs that our guys have done a great job, in my feeling. They're really, really proud of the job that we've done on the trails. And any rate, talk about the drinking fountain that's being installed at the trailhead. Beale Loop Trail, I mentioned this. We also, 2 years ago, we put in the divider trail at Beale Loop, where it divides it into 2 separate trails, which is really, really good. The West Trail is really pretty user-friendly, and there's still some challenging sections of the East Trail back in that corner. But we would, like I said, and we also put in a lower loop trail that's down between the parking lot, basically, and the road. That's 0.8 of a mile. It's very user-friendly for kids on bikes, and it makes me feel really good when I go out there and I see bike tracks in these areas, and the same as these trails here. I mean, you see the bike tracks, you know people are using them, and so it's pretty exciting. Sunbelt Park, I want to touch on this for everybody. Something we've been really working on for a long time, and everybody's anxious to get. This is going to be on the council agenda next week to get the approval for the design, to get the design finished on this. So really excited to get going on that. And this is the preliminary plan, basically, where it talks, this is what it could look like. That is basically the red section there. And then we have another 6 acres that we have an IGA with the school on. And the challenging thing about this, we have to put a drainage channel around it, which that is being designed right now. And that should be, it's about 97 or 98% complete. And we should be getting that back shortly to review and But that's going to be a big project to get the drainage channel built around it. But then, like I said, we're excited to get going on the full design, and like I said, that's on the next council agenda, and looking forward to getting moving on that. There's with the IGA with the school, what I talked about, where we have that property. The drainage channel is there. And we already have the IGA worked out with the school, which we're excited about that. And this is also this drainage channel, everything's gonna help, it's gonna help somewhat keep the schools from flooding. It's not the major problem with the school flooding across this property, but we found out after this property was donated to the city that more water flows across this property than flows into Monsoon Park, which anybody who knows about Monsoon Park on a rainy day, quite a bit of water flowing across there. So that much water flows across this park site. So it just shows what we've got to deal with. So looking forward to getting it done though. Like I said, the drainage channel's near completion, full park design's going to council. And then we will do like a phased construction. We won't do this all at once. We don't have the funding to do it all at once, but we will get started on it and start basically from the front, maybe a couple soccer fields, and we'll do more as we get the funding available. So this is another project we're working on, is a grant funding for Lewis Kingman Park. This grant has been approved. We're working with a company right now to do a job order contract, is what we're hoping to do, that can get this project moving and done pretty quickly. So that's kind of what we're working on there. And you know, this is all what we're going to be doing on that, updating the shade structures. And I'm not sure that they're going to look exactly like that, but we're going to have updated shade structures there. We're going to have lighting. We're going to, and there's the amount total of the grant that we got. So we're excited about that, like I said. But there'll also be electrical outlets that we can use for these events that we have there, which is going to be another really, really good thing. And like I mentioned, I did try to have a railroad car across that, which I would really like to see that happen someday. So I'm not giving up on it. Yeah, this job order contract is under state contract, so we're excited about that. That is something that hopefully we can get this. And we don't have all the numbers back from them yet, but we're anxious to get them, and we should have them in the very near future. So another project we're working on is Musco lighting on Field 5 at Centennial Park. They're the last wooden poles that we have, and we would like to, then we're going to budget, hopefully, and it will get approved for next year. We're going to update the fencing at Field 5, make it higher and make the outfields a little farther, because the only negative thing about our fields at Centennial Park, they're not really that deep for some tournaments and things like that. So this would give us one that is really, really deep, and it would also give us the ability to rent this out more, and it'd be more of a rented field like the other ones are, not an open field. So we also have playground shade structures that are going to be installed with either the end of this month or at the beginning of next month at Pawnee Park and Canyon Shadows, and we're excited about those. And that's about all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about any of them, or
I think Commissioner.
I think it's exciting and amazing that all these new parks and trails are being established. Is there going to be funding for maintenance and getting more employees to take care of it?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. Yeah, we've talked about that. We're in the budget process right now, and we're going to put in for, obviously, with the streetscape downtown, that's going to add a lot more on our department to take care of that. So, and we've got our hands full with what we have now, honestly. And somebody asked about the inmate labor, and that we can't count that as full-time labor and employees, but like I've said, we got really used to counting on them when we had them. We really did, and so that's hurt us by not having them, and so we have to decide what are we going to neglect to go help the street department get the weeds cleaned up. So we kind of, but I think our guys do a really, really great job of looking at those things, but we are going to put in for some additional employees, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, we hope so very much, obviously, because the more we have, the more work there's going to be to take care of it. So yeah, oh yeah. So that's a very important thing, and really that's what's so important about all these things. We talk about a recreation center. There's ongoing costs to having a recreation center and running it and keeping it functioning. So, it's everything you look at, you have to definitely look at all that maintenance and ongoing expenses. So, very important, and that's good observation.
Thank you, Ann. I believe Commissioner Ferry has a suggestion.
I'm not sure if this is really a question or a comment, so bear with me. I really appreciate that Engel Homes is donating the money to do this the material for this trail. And I just wonder, I mean, wouldn't it be great to see these developers investing more in our community like that with trails and things like this? And I just wonder if there's any proactive thing that parks do in other communities to like ask these developers to, you know, it really beautifies these neighborhoods that they're building and increases the property value, and parks too, the parks that we put into these neighborhoods. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that goes on like that as far as having them meet us, you know.
Well, there are some obviously that do it as part of their development. Some of them say that you have to put a park in a subdivision so big, and you have to do a lot of that. So there's challenges to that obviously too. So, and there again, challenges that we make them all do this. We need the money to still then maintain them too. So, and the other issue that we don't talk about often when you're talking about adding more green space is water, obviously very important. So, but there are things that they do, and this is, to me, it's great to see. Other people may see that Angle Homes is willing to do this, and this is going to be Angle Homes, and they've talked to Desert Construction. This is going to be in-kind donations where they're going to work together to do this. So, to me, it's exciting, but you're right, it would take some revisions to our building codes and all that, basically, to say that they have to do that, and that is challenging to get done too. So that's it's above my department to be able to do that, you know, but I would love to see something like that, obviously, because you're right. I mean, we have, our master plan identified so many areas in our city that have been annexed years ago, and they don't have parks in their neighborhood. So, I mean, there's so many areas that we have right now that, like I said, so, you know, it is very important. But
Well, it seems like a good start.
well, that's how I feel too. They're leading by example, and that's pretty important too. So,
Okay, anything else?
I've got a question. The catch basins out where we live, when they're put in, they're just bare, or sometimes they put riprap in there to hold them, but after about a year, they seem to be reverting to weeds. Is that something that our department is responsible for, or? I know I'm trying to add things to your plate, Mike. I'm really not, but
I can answer that though. No,
Yeah.
our department is not responsible for that right now, and hopefully we won't get to be responsible for it, because it is a whole nother set of very challenging
right.
time to get it.
I understand.
And some of the people say, why aren't some of those grass and turf and everything else? And
Well,
some cities have it that way, but there again, water's the issue, and
Yeah, and, you know, I wouldn't recommend that, but some way that we can make them look more deserty and still not get ruined when it rains. Because you could put something nice down there and it's gonna turn into mush
right,
when it does its designed function.
right. Yeah, but those aren't our responsibility, those are public works, and they take care of that as best they can right now, like I said. And right now, they're really concentrating on the roadsides and the really, really visible areas, and that one's really visible to you, I know, but,
No,
you know,
Yeah,
it's a good question, really, that, and like I said, don't give them any ideas to put that onto my guys, though, all right?
all right, I'll shut up.
All right. Thank you, though.
Thank you, John. Is there anything else? How about any announcements by commission members? Okay, I just have a couple things. There always used to be a 5- and 10-year plan. Did they still implement that? Yeah, we're working on that right now. Okay, I was just thinking with the new members, they may have never seen these before, or, you know, what our 4 departments here have coming down the pipe or would like to implement in the future. If that could either put it on the agenda or just be part of your report next time.
I'll do that. And basically, this report was about all those capital projects that we've gotten done and we're working on right now, the shade structures, the trails, those are all part of that capital plan. So, and we are working on that right now, so I'll do that, include that when it gets approved and put that in here and we can talk about that, so.
Okay. And I would just like to wish everyone a happy, healthy holiday season coming up.
And
One more thing, Mike?
no, I just have a few that I would like to just touch on too when
Oh,
you're
okay, I'm
finished. I want to
sorry.
make sure you don't close it up before I get a chance to. Basically, I want to touch on the Black Friday tree lighting at the golf course, which is kind of exciting. Like I said, that's going to be a cool thing that's getting done. And I also want to touch on with our recreation department, a really good year with the pools, with aquatics. I mean, when you get through a season with no major problems, it's really, really good. So, and they did a really good job. So and that's really important, I think. And a parks team, I like to touch on the many projects that they do because like a lot of things that come up aren't in our department, and they're the ones, they need tables, they need chairs, they need set up for this, PA system. So our guys really do just a really, really good job of that, and I really appreciate it. And thanks to Sherry so far, really doing a really good job, and really happy to have her with us. So she's going to be a very valuable asset to our team. And we have a great team. I don't say it often enough, but we're very fortunate. I talked about the trails already, I guess, and talked about the shade structures. And I just want to say our next meeting is February 21st. And thank you to all of you. Appreciate the work you guys do and helping out with our events and things like that too, and just coming here and helping us out and guide us and keep us going the right direction. So appreciate it very much.
If there isn't anything else, I'd like to entertain a motion for adjournment. Thank you, John. A second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Ferry. And all approve?
Aye.
Okay. No nays, huh? Thank you.